Oklahoma.
Where's the oil going? Yeah. If we buying all of this oil in the Middle East, where's the oil being pumped in America? Where's the Mexican oil going? They like 10th in the world in oil production.
There you go.
Where they oil going? Right? California got oil pumping. You could be driving through California. In the middle of nowhere, you see all of these fucking pumps pumping oil. Where's the oil going? They're not allowed to sell it. It's on military reserve.
Yeah. And the main one was in New Orleans. And that's why they tried to Katrina to pull the oil heist. Katrina was the biggest oil heist in world history. Was when they pulled the Katrina and leaked the reserves in New Orleans out, and they brought BP in because BP was connected with Obama and all that, and they pulled the oil off the ocean because you could pull water and oil don't mix, so you could pull the oil out the ocean, fill your tanks up, and they made off with truckloads of our oil reserves during the BP oil spill in Katrina. It was the biggest heist ever. The biggest oil heist.
Hey, you know, a lot of people don't know about that, El. You know, you bringing back something that
Judge Joe Brown told about it. Judge Joe Brown exposed them. It was a big
right, but you gotta remember this. Yep. We still arguing in the hood. Did the military blow the levees or not?
Right.
We still arguing about that. We ain't even got to what was the catalyst.
Right.
Right. We ain't getting to the oil spill. None of that ain't coming up in our discussion of Katrina because the travesty of how the people was treated, one, and the never getting past, did they blow the levees or did the floodgates just burst through the levees? Right. Because they know New Orleans is below sea level.
Right.
Right. So all they had to do is they don't even need a whole lot of explosives. And the kind of weather that was coming, that's a cracker do.
Right.
So they flooded out, I think it was the whole 9th Ward flooded out.
Yep.
And you go through the night, a lot of people move back and just and relocated to another part of the city and stayed.
Right. That's right.
That's not the first one of our cities they flooded out. We got records of the floods where they flooded out cities like Lake Lanier.
That's right.
Right. That's right. And we got records of cities they set on fire. Rosewood, Oklahoma City, Philadelphia. Right. We still have living survivors of the Philadelphia move bombing.
Right.
They still around to tell us the story. Because most of us, when we hear it, it sounds so far-fetched. We be saying that didn't happen until we go see that it was actually being recorded in real time as it was happening.
Right. Facts. And could you go in on? Okay, so I'm coming to find out that the military, the U.S. government is guilty of a lot of stuff. So leading up to that, the Nubians were over here even after all the stuff that they did to us, still making a way and still being some of the richest people in the United States back in the day, like Tulsa, Oklahoma, dealing with Black Wall Street and Greenville or whatever. So they came in there and massacred the whole town, and it took. So could you go into the King Kong effect? Where the King Kong effect is where they use the white girl to lower you in, and then they drug King Kong to get him, do all that. But King Kong was already over here. But could you go into, because Elijah Muhammad used to say that the devil's last trick was to give you the white girl, and so I know.
No, that's not what he said. I know he said the devil last trick is to freely give you his woman.
Yeah, his woman, right?
We just assuming that the devil's woman is a white woman.
Yeah, right. That's right. Right. Hey,
but we ain't know that the devil look like us, but they ain't us. That's so really, what woman is he giving you?
The devil woman. Like a woman with the devil spirit or something like that. But let me finish my question. So with that being said, you correct me on that. I stand corrected on what Elijah Muhammad said. But I was assuming that he said the white woman being in the time in his philosophy.
That's because he say the white man is the devil, but the white man ain't white.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Free white man. We can get into that. But so what I'm getting at is we noticed with the Rosewood. The Rosewood, somebody the white girl blamed the black dude, they murdered the whole town. Tulsa, Oklahoma, they said that somebody touched the white girl in the elevator, they burned the whole town to the ground. Emmett Till, they said that he looked at a white girl and you saw what they did to Emmett Till. So could you go in on the King Kong white girl effect and how they utilize that, lower the white girl to pretty much do some kind of.
You ever heard the term patsy?
Nah. Oh yeah, I heard it, but I don't know what it means.
Okay, the fall guy is the man.
Yeah.
A patsy is a woman.
Okay.
Right. We can make assumptions about a lot of things, but here's some harsh truth.
Okay.
When you fighting some people that look like you, but they don't want you to know it, and they want you to think it's somebody else, those are always afterthoughts of why this happened.
Go ahead.
That ain't the cause of why that happened.
Go ahead.
But that's the cause that they use as a fear-mongering tactic so that you could feel pale faces, but you ain't never seen a white man. Right? So the pale face has been used on both sides of the war to be put out front as the catalyst to the next event of change.
Right.
Either a catalyst for the change or cover up for the usurpation. Right? It don't matter what skin color a woman is. If she a earthborn, she got mitochondrial rights somewhere on this planet.
That's right.
And as long as she got mitochondrial rights, that means she belong here.
That's right.
Right. So the whole thing that we want to get away from is the women that don't got no mitochondria.
Right.
Them trans testicles. Transformers. More than meets the eye. Robots in disguise. Right? We've been chasing drag queens in the drag race across the country, trying to see if we can tell the stallion from a mare. Some of us get stuck on the stallion thinking it's a mare because of his majesty. Right? Never knowing that the mare is the female horse. And she run the herd. She's the matriarch. She's the town mother. But we so busy chasing after stallions thinking we chasing mares.
Right.
Right. So whatever kind of milk you get out of a stallion, that's the wrong kind of milk for a man to be drinking.
Hey, which brings me to my next question, right? Now, we know that that they use, it seemed like they use women to conquer us, because it seemed like to me they tried a lot of times to sack Grenada, but they had to use Queen Isabella to do it. Just like they got the synopsis in the Bible about using the woman to take down Samson. You know, Samson's supposed to be a bad motherfucker. He beat everybody up, taking their lunch and shit, and then they put the girl on her, and she make him fold up. So what is the synopsis on the using the certain groups of men? Because like I just said, they use the women in those scenarios with the Rosewood, Tulsa, Emmett Till. What is the thing with using with women being able to conquer? It seems like to me, men didn't conquer the world. Women conquered the world, because Queen Isabella set the callus in motion to start the whole conquer of our side of the globe, the hemisphere. So what's your point of view on that, Rod? On the women?
You got to remember, the women is the ones with the only ones that own property, land.
Okay.
Right. Okay. And she the one who commissioned the man to build a house there.
Okay, makes sense.
So this is the source of the wealth.
Mm-hmm.
The source of the wealth is from what comes from the earth. Whether it's mining from the earth or farming from the earth, what comes from the earth is the source of the wealth. The women are the owners of the earth. But the natural nature of humans, we are sexual beings because we are spiritual beings. An enemy will use our sexual nature and weaponize it against us. And they will create stories to teach women how to get one up on a man by vengeance and vindictive behavior. And they teach women that. That's not the nature of the woman. That's a learned behavior, right? The nature of the woman is to find harmony in all situations, circumstances, and environments. Her presence supposed to create heaven everywhere she go if she's in her true divine feminine.
Right.
The problem is there's too many of them in they undivine masculine, pretending to be feminine, that's undermining the divine feminine on the behalf of the patriarchal system.
Okay.
So they pretend to be soft and loving women, and all the time they are vindictive harlots, waiting to be used by a system that makes it seem that they have power by them misusing their sexual energy to bring ruin to a man. The energy exchange between man and woman is natural. It's supposed to happen. You have to figure out a way to interrupt the energy flow in order for you to keep them in uncivil war, domestic warfare, war at home, right? So while you telling them about the war overseas, you make them fight each other at home so that you can see who the best fighters is to send overseas to fight. Right. Now they have systems designed to get powerful men out of power on allegations alone, based on a system that's designed to take powerful men out of power, especially when they are in organic power. It's natural to who they are to develop to the level to become as powerful as they become. So they put systems in play to usurp that power. Anybody who was strong enough to conquer a system, they systematically removed them one way or another. They either murdered them or locked them up, or they defended them and disgraced them to the public. We got to remember that one of their war techniques is called hang them in effigy. That's the killing image of a person. That's what they was doing to Bill Cosby. Bringing up some stuff from the 70s and the 2000s. If it took you that long to complain about rape, you probably didn't get raped. I have never seen a real rape victim wait longer than probably a couple of weeks to report it.
Right.
Because it's normally so emotional, dramatic, that she have to tell somebody and so on and so forth.
That's facts.
And the ball get to rolling. Right? Sometimes they use the allegation as a weapon in order to destroy the character of a person because they can't contend with the information the person produced. And if that doesn't, to execute you.
Hey, Rod, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Hey, This is my question, Rod. So now that we know that the system is going out and we're going to the Aquarian age, and I was born into this system, this fiat system. I never really experienced real what it's gonna be like to have real wealth, or how does real wealth work. Most of us don't even know how real wealth work because we was born into the fiat money, Federal Reserve system. The Federal Reserve Act was passed before I was born, and so how do we respond, or how are we going to what will be the best way that we're gonna? You talked about Big Meech being training people on that type of thing. How do we convert over, being that we never experienced really real wealth actually, because we always had fiat monopoly money and never
Right.
really owned
So
it. Go ahead.
when the families are contacted to establish their family bank,
Right.
the fact they're gonna have to put together a banking committee
Mm-hmm.
for their family, and it got to be family members. You can hire outsiders as advisors, but they can't control any of the flow of the money. That had to be done by the family. We go back to the family banking system. This is called the decentralization of the banking system.
Mm-hmm.
But all of the families still have a currency. Well, because of technological advances, the transactions of the currency will go bank from bank, just like they use electronic banking now. We'll be using electronic banking,
Yeah, I can see that.
right? But the problem is not going to be um, how to maintain the wealth, because the fat of the land is what we supposed to rely on for the source of wealth, not for the labor of our sweat of our brow. When we do labor, we supposed to do something because we believe in it, we feel passionate about it, and we want to make it the best we can make it. So if we like building cars, we supposed to work in the car factory. But if we don't like building cars, we ain't got no business in there.
Right.
Right. And some people, their work environment is like a whole nother family. The people that they work with, they build bonds of relationship, and sometimes it be actually stronger than some of the members of their actual family.
Right.
Right. So this is when they learn how to fight for each other to stand firm against corporate greed. Corporate greed is going to always find a way to make the little guy get the least amount of the pie.
Right. Yeah,
Right.
right.
But once you learn how to stand in solidarity in the face of corporate greed, you make sure that whatever the qualified portions of the pie are is divided up among the top tier and the lower tier in value and kind. The CEO of a corporation should not make more than 5 times the lower payer, the
Right.
lowest paid. If he make 5 times more than that, he got to pick it up in performance bonus. He can't pick it up just because he was the CEO. You're not going to sign him on $90 million a year when your lowest wage worker is making minimum wage. I'm sorry,
Yeah.
that's not going to happen no more.
Yeah. Yeah. That's ain't right.
Right. But that's because most of the corporations is going to be consumed by families who love that business. It's in their family blood. We used to do all this stuff by family tradition because most people have the interest that their family have. But now we did so much outsourcing relationships that the family don't all have a common interest. The family is no longer a common interest of family members.
Uh-huh.
I was just telling my brother, we used to get together at funerals and weddings. Now ain't nobody getting married no more. So I see you at the funeral home, right? Because people not falling for the narrative that was sold to us. If they was, the divorce rate wouldn't be so high, right? And most of that is because nobody wants to discipline their children, so they grow up to be undisciplined adults. Since they undisciplined adults, they can't function like an adult in an adult environment. They function like children trapped in an adult environment that they don't want to be in. And half of them don't want to be there because they're still childlike. They start you off in the first grade in your 12-step detox from thinking program. By the time you graduate high school, you get the concept of how to be ignorant down packed, and you're very good at it now. They can
12
turn you
years.
loose on the world, and they ain't have to worry about you being nothing more than an angry sheep.
12 years of slavery. Hey, bro, Which brings, hey, the title brings my next question. The title of the tape is the icing on the cake. Now we know that Donald Trump, when he got in, he brought in this new program. Well, it ain't been a new program. It's just they just made a catchy, I guess, a catchy phrase for it, ICE, right? The Immigration Custom and Enforcement. Now we there's a lot going on in the media where these ICE guys is pulling up and 200 Mexicans take off running. And it's going all over on jobs. Half of the jobs. My girl said that they lost 60 people last night from ICE coming in and taking people that had visas out of the store. So what's your take on Donald Trump going out with the ICE operations, going after the like you just talked about it a little bit on the Mexican thing, but what's your take on him? What you think his end goal is on getting all of these people out of the country? Go ahead.
That's the cover for taking people to Gitmo. It's a smoke screen. While they running tribunals in Gitmo, but they also running them in DC.
Go ahead.
And when they get done running, while they running people, taking people mass to Gitmo, they using the immigration situation as a smoke screen. It's misdirection. Hey, look over here. Look over here. Yeah. You get slapped from over there. Yeah. Who did that? Everybody acting like they didn't have nothing to do with it. I'm whooping everybody ass over there now.
And technically, since they don't got
but they got you looking over here.
I would say technically, since they don't got no flag, and Donald Trump really not technically a president. How are they able to enforce this ICE rules onto the land, and they not even maybe because they got the visa is a contract with United States government. That's how they can able to because they got this a contract with United States and not with us. That's how they able to push them off because it's a contract.
Well, you gotta remember visas is just a passport to visit for a period of time.
Okay.
Your green card is your application for citizenship and or acceptance thereof. But the visa, you can get a visitor's visa where you only supposed to stay 2-3 days. Then you can get an extended visa, student visa, or a business visa where you can stay up to 6 months. But a lot of them was using that as the pretext to get over here. It was a loophole in the game because once you over here and you fall off the radar, they don't know where you at most of the time.
Right.
So then you can go on and live your life.
Right. They
used to be.
Like I said, they pulled up at a school in California. Go ahead. Say what you're gonna say now. I'll say.
It used to be before they took away birthright citizenship that if an immigrant came and had a child over here, they can't deport the parent until the child turned 18 because the child is a citizen, but the immigrant is a custodial parent. So they couldn't deport him until the child turned 18. Normally, they be to have 4 or 5 children by the time they stop. So that's 18 years from the first one becomes 36 years at the oldest one.
Yeah.
Right. By that time, they ain't been over here so long. You let that old motherfucker stay.
Right. Yeah.
And that's how they was getting around a lot of it.
Yeah, it was this dude on Instagram crying, black dudes crying today. He was at a school graduation and ICE came up in there and have at least all of the Hispanic parents had to leave because they didn't have a visa to be there, but their kids was in school over here. So,
but what about all the Hispanic people that was born here though?
Right.
When they looking at them, you got to think about this. If they don't know who the illegals is, how they gonna know they not born over here? Because I know Puerto Ricans ain't never seen Puerto Rico.
Right.
And their parents ain't never seen Puerto Rico.
Right.
But they still Puerto Rican.
Talk to me, Rob.
Right. Yeah. I know people that's over here from Haiti. They don't know what Haiti. They ain't never walked a foot in Haiti.
Right.
Cuba, same way. They never been to Cuba a day in their life. You can't just look at these people and say, oh, they're an illegal immigrant.
Yeah, that ain't right.
That's stereotyping. false categorization based on stereotypes.
Right.
Right.
Colonization. It's a form of colonization. Yeah.
So they know from records. They know from records where y'all gonna congregate at. They got this many children born to this many illegal immigrant parents, right? So in this geography, there's a graduation going on. It's a good probability that this percentage of parents is gonna show up that's actually over here illegally. So they arrayed that one.
Yeah.
Right. But the other one, school could be on the other side of town in the same city, and they don't bother that school's graduation. And they got illegals there too, but they don't have as many as the other place, so therefore it won't create a compelling spectacle for their laws of power.
Somebody asked in the comments that it says, what should we expect in the next 3 years, you know, based on all the information that we got so far?
Man, we got enough to go on in the next 9 to 10 months, man, that's going to make us reevaluate our whole life choices. It's going to be some stuff, you know. What is going to be, I don't know the order, so I can't say what it's going to be because they could switch them out of order based on the energy flow. But a lot of change is going to take place real fast, but it's not going to look like it while you experiencing it. While you experiencing it seems like it's taking a long time. That's because you actively going through the quagmire of change. Back by still moving. And it's just how long does it take before it all comes full circle and then everything had to come out in the open.
All right. So somebody asked another question. Somebody said, can we have a meeting to catch up on the police officers committing treason on the land? And me and Rod just did a tape on that not too long ago called The Poe and the Least of Us, and we got all the receipt tapes to give you how to fight against the police and all that in that tape. But Rod, you want to go in on that a little bit about the police committing treason on the land?
They not committing treason, they invaders. Treason is when you from the land and you turn on the people of the land. That's treason. Mm-hmm. When you a foreign agent working for a foreign agency, you a foreign agent. That's not treason. That's invasion. Mm-hmm. The police is chartered out of London, England. Mm-hmm. So all of the arresting that they doing it arbitrarily based on war protocol. That's why when they got to arrest you, they have to sign something called a warrant. That's right. The warrant is the ongoing declaration of war, but they only taking us to war 1 and 2 at a time. That's why they don't have to face the whole of the nation or all of the people. If they was to come out and really show us what they really doing here, we would be able to see them clear. But they've been showing us, but it been marked as isolated incidents of police violence. The police always been violent ever since they've been here. They came here to inflict violence upon the population of the people. That's right. We was just trying to fight. They was using chokeholds in California. They were shooting you in the back in Detroit and Chicago and New York. They were stringing you up in the South, hanging you in the dead of night. Police is doing this. Not dudes riding around in KKK uniform. Mm-hmm. Police. Mm-hmm. Police is pulling over the 2 white dudes and the brother going for the civil rights rally and buried them. Police did that. Mm-hmm. We gotta remember the police has been the enemy's army from the beginning. The only reason they're here is to keep the poor from rising up against the rich. They're not here for nothing else. They just trying to preemptive strike each individual with the individual arrest cycles. That way they don't have to fight us all united. They could fight us separately and individually and give us a sense of learned hopelessness or learned helplessness. where we at the mercy of they perceived authority. It's only a perception of authority, but they got the guns to back it up, and they don't want you to have one.
Yeah, threat, coercion, coercion.
Yeah, that's all part of war protocol. That's how you occupy a foreign nation. Exactly what the police is doing. The real law enforcement on the land is supposed to be the sheriff.
That's right.
And the sheriff supposed to arrest anybody impersonating a peace officer, which would be anybody with the words police on their uniform.
That brings me to the next question, Rod. All right, so I was looking up as I'm doing some more research on all the receipts you gave me, and I'm putting another, like I said, I'm putting this AI tape together right now on the pirates and how the pirate thing worked. Now, so I found out that the kings, this king passed a letter called the Letter of the Marquis, and this gave the pirates authorization to rob people, and it goes for the state troopers, even in the court system. So, do you know anything about the Marquis letter, the Letter of the Marquis? And the Marquis
it's a title of nobility. A Marquis is the title of nobility, and it's issued under something called letters patent. The reason why they do it that way is because even though they knight you as royalty, you can't pass your royal title on because it's a non-inheritable title of nobility, the same as esquire, the same as honorable.
Duke. And so this is all British influence. And so I noticed that Marquis translate into lawyers. Most of the lawyers through the barristers are made into Marquis, and they pretty much
they esquires.
Esquires. I mean, yes,
esquires.
Yeah, esquires. And so they don't work for us. They hold alliances to the crown and to the bar, which is the British, the crown, pretty much goes right back to the crown. So pretty much how the lawyers still operating on the land and doing what they're doing. I think it's only reason everything still is going because we agreeing to it. It's the only reason they still go. Like if we didn't agree to it no more, it'll be just over with for them. It'll be completely over.
Well, it's being disassembled in parts. Right. First of all, it's only a handful of Article 3 judges. That means everybody that's not an Article 3 judge is a non-constitutional judge. That means the Constitution don't recognize them, but the other courts do. That means that's how you know they're working for somebody other than us. They call them administrative law judges. They call them magistrates, honorables. Right? An ALJ, administrative law judge, is an administrator. It's not a judiciary. Right. They got different functions, but we don't know that there's